Hi friends, Phil here. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to share something with you because recently I've been getting some calls from prospects and they're looking for a coach. And so usually when somebody's looking for a coach, I kind of need to find out why they're looking for a coach. And so I ask a simple question. I say, hey, what made you feel like you have a need for a coach? And more often than not, I get the same basic answer. They tell me that some area of their life is a mess, right? They have messy relationships. They got messy business. Their health is a mess. Their finances are a mess. There's some mess going on. And so I wanted to share a video with you about this mess that most people are in, because you might be in a mess too right now. You might be in a really big mess or maybe a small mess, but you might be in a mess nonetheless. Because you know what? Most people are in some area in a mess, and messes, the thing that's interesting about messes, right? No matter what, anytime you're trying to accomplish anything, whether that is to have better health, better relationships, more money, a better business, on the way there, you're going to find it messy, right? I mean, it's always a mess in the middle of everything. Now think about this. If you were going to bake a cake right now, you'd start out and you'd make a real mess, right? There'd be flour and ingredients everywhere and, utensils and cups and stuff like that. I never baked a cake, but there'd be stuff all over the kitchen, right? And it would be a mess. But ultimately, that's just the middle of the process. Ultimately, it'd be this beautiful cake, hopefully, right? I can't even imagine what it would look like in a surgical room, in an operating room where a doctor's performing surgery on a patient. It's going to be pretty messy there in the middle of that, right? But at the end of that, they'll be healing and it'll be better at the end of that. So everything, right, that you try to accomplish at some level, there's probably going to be a mess in the middle. But the key is to remember that it's just in the middle. And so if we want to keep that mess in the middle as short as possible, we have to understand a few things, right? So number one is everything is always in a constant state of motion. Nothing is in a fixed state. In other words, if I right now hit my hand with a hammer, it would hurt right now and it would be pretty messy for me right now. However, I know that over time, right, as time passes, the pain will subside and eventually go away and I'll be back to normal, okay? And so think about it, everything is in a state of constant motion. And so if you're in a mess right now, just realize that you're also in motion and you're going to come out of that mess, right? So you're either in a mess right now or you just came out of a mess, or for those of you that aren't in a mess, guess what? You're about to get into one, because that's the way life is. Now, some of the messes aren't as big and scary as some of the other messes, right? But nonetheless, we're always going to find ourselves in an area that we're in that feels a little bit messy. So my goal isn't to avoid messes, right? If you're avoiding messes and you're not trying anything new, you're not trying anything that's scary and exciting, you're probably not stretching yourself and you're never going to accomplish any major breakthroughs if you don't, end up in a mess at some point. We have to be in a mess, okay? I would embrace the mess, because if you're in a mess, that means that you're trying something new or you're experiencing something different or you're fighting through some sort of, inner belief that you have, or you're trying to get through a relationship that's not working well, or you're trying to make one better. So if you're in a mess, embrace it, first of all, okay? Now, how do we shorten the time frame from, when we get into the mess and getting out of it? Because we're not going to avoid messes, but we can certainly shorten the time period. Just a couple of things that I like to do when I'm in a mess that help me, and I'm sure that they'll help you because it's helped plenty of my clients, okay? So the first thing I want to do is when I wake up in the morning and I feel overwhelmed because I'm in a mess, or if during the day I feel overwhelmed because I'm in a real mess, what I want to do is I want to take a moment and I want to close my eyes. And if you close your eyes, about 80% of the information that we take in from the outside world is through our eyes, right? Our physical senses, our eyes, our ears, but our eyes especially. So I want to shut some things down and I want my mind to calm down, because if you're in a calm state of mind, you can think your way out of any mess. When you're in an agitated or aroused state of mind, it's hard to think yourself out of a mess. So if we close our eyes, what we do is we block out a lot of the information that's coming in, and it allows us to start to calm the mind. Now, once my eyes are closed, what I want to do is take a couple of deep breaths, diaphragmatic breaths, where I'm expanding my stomach when I'm breathing in, right? Not my chest, but my stomach. Take a couple of deep breaths and exhale, nice and deep breath and a slow exhale. And so I'm removing some, I call it like the toxins in my body by doing that. So now my eyes are closed, I'm breathing, I'm putting myself in a relaxed state, and I'm putting myself in the present so that I'm grounded right here and now. I'm not in the mess. I'm right here in my breathing, in this space, in this chair. I'm not in the mess. That thing's out there somewhere, okay? So I don't want to be in it. I want to be right here. When I get myself here and I'm in a calm state, what I want to do is I want to see the future outcome as being positive, right? So I want to see what that's going to look like on the other side of the mess. And so I try to visualize that. And sometimes even before I visualize that, what I'll do is I'll just try to see an open pathway to it, right? Because, you know, for most people when they're in mess, it's like looking into the jungle, right? And there's all kinds of, trees and all kinds of like stuff that you can't see through. And it's just like weeds and, branches. And it's all, so I don't want you to see that. I want you to see an open field, maybe like an open meadow, just a beautifully cut lawn or something that's just beautifully open. I golf, or I try to golf anyways. And one of the things that I like to try to visualize is a really wide open, beautiful fairway that I can hit into. So it's a wide open fairway and there isn't any, there's no danger, there's no sand traps and there's no water, right? So it's just wide open. And so I like to do that. So I can see that there's this open space for me to get past this mess that I'm in. On the other side, what does that look like? So the goal is to get yourself in a relaxed state of mind, a calm state of mind, because a calm state of mind allows the brain to start working and find its way through the mess. An agitated state of mind keeps you in the mess. So when you're in that state and you feel like you're overwhelmed, just take a couple of breathers, close your eyes, visualize the outcome, visualize an open field, and calm your mind. And then realize that at some point, if you continue to do this when you get in a aroused state, that calmness of mind will create the thoughts necessary to move you past the mess, okay? Now, for those of you that feel like maybe you don't have any control over the mess, it's somebody else's doing, and it's real, you're not just blaming somebody, there's a real, like, you're waiting for somebody else to fix something, and that causes you some anxiety because of it. Well, here's the thing that you can do, right? You can focus on the things that you have control over. And so don't focus on things that you don't have control over because that'll just agitate you. Focus on things that you do have control over. And that might even be just your own state of mind, your own ability to visualize, your own breathing, your own health, right? Just focus on what you can control, not what you can't. But realize this, okay? You're not alone. Everybody's in a mess at some level. And this too shall pass, right? That's the phrase that you probably heard over and over again. But no matter what, everything's in constant motion. So if you're in a mess, you're just about to get out of one. I can promise you, you'll get out of it a lot faster if you keep a calm state of mind, allow the thoughts to come in that will help you navigate through your troubles. Hope you enjoyed the video. Talk to you soon.